one snowy night. Percy is the park keeper. It's cold in winter, but Percy doesn't mind. He puts on his coat and his scarf and his hat and his Wellington boots with 2 pairs of warm socks inside. In the middle of the park is Percy's hut. When it's too cold outside, Percy goes into his hut where it's cosy and warm. The animals in the park all love Percy, and he shares his lunch with them. One winter's night, it was very cold and snowy. Percy thought he'd better put another blanket on the bed. He was just getting off to sleep when he heard and at the step there was a squirrel looking cold and miserable. "I can't get to sleep, Percy," said the squirrel. "It's too cold." "Never mind, come in," said Percy. "There's plenty of room in my bed for 2. Just got nicely warm and snuggled up again when... "Who can that be?" Percy said. Standing on the step were 2 shivering rabbits. "It's for freezing," said one. "We're for frozen," said the other. "Can we come in?" "Of course you can," said Percy. "Come on in." Just when they were all getting nice and warm in bed... "Now who?" said Percy. It was a fox. He looked very cold and hungry. "Can I come in?" he said. Percy scratched his head and thought for a minute. "Well, if you promise to behave," he said. "I promise," said the fox, and he squeezed into the bed next to all the other animals. Bump! Oops! The squirrel fell out. "Who did that?" he asked crossly. "Good gracious," said Percy, "it's the door again." This time he had quite a surprise. There on the step was a badger, 2 ducks, a hedgehog, and a family of mice. They all wanted a bed for the night. Everybody tried to squeeze into the bed together. The animals pushed and shoved and rolled, but there was just not enough room for them all. Soon the bed covers ended up in a tight ball, and everybody fell onto the floor. Bump! "Oh dear," said Percy, "this won't do at all. My bed is just too small." Suddenly one of the mice said, "Shh! What's that noise?" he squeaked. Everyone listened hard. Now they could all hear it. It was a scratching noise that seemed to be coming from underneath them. The animals were all frightened and started to squeak at once. "Oh dear, what can it be? It might be a monster with fierce claws and sharp teeth." The noise grew louder and louder, and then one of the floorboards began to lift up. "Ooh! Help!" cried the animals, and they all ran to hide. But Percy wasn't frightened. He started to chuckle, and then he laughed out loud. A small dark head was sticking up through the floorboards. "This isn't a monster," said Percy, "it's a mole." "I'm sorry to burst in like this," said the mole. "I knocked on the door, but nobody heard me." Percy helped the mole and sat him on his hot water bottle to get warm. "It's all right, everyone," he called. "You can come out now." But nobody moved. Nobody stirred. Nobody wanted to come out. The squirrel was tucked away in the pocket of Percy's dressing gown. The hedgehog was in his coat. The fox, the rabbits, the badger and the ducks were all safely hidden away, and the mice had even squeezed themselves into Percy's slippers. Everyone had found a cosy bed. "Well, I never," said Percy. Percy yawned and snuggled down in his own bed once again. "That's better. Now I've got plenty of room," he said, "and a little to spare for a mole."